Hello, welcome to 9 News Nigeria TV. My name is AMACHREE Ikijana, and this is Truth Behind the News. Right here on 9 News Nigeria TV, we believe that information is powerful, but wrong information can definitely be destructive. This is why we take the pen to go look for the real truth behind the news that you see on the pages of newspaper and of course on social media, because we believe that there is definitely more. And today we are going to be looking at all of the top stories that make the news this week. And to do this, I have two handsome gentlemen who are going to be joining me right after this short break on the show to talk about this. So stay with us, we'll be right back. When we come back, I'll let you in on what we are going to be discussing on the show today. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back to the show. If you are just joining in, you are live on Truth Behind the News right here on 9 News Nigeria TV. On the show, I have two gentlemen, as I said earlier. Let me introduce on my right, a handsome gentleman, looking good, Mr. Obina Ejanya. Sir, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, Mr. Obina Ejanya is the CEO of Obix Technology and is based in Australia. You're welcome again, sir.
Thank you.
All right, on my left, I have another gentleman looking well built. All right, this is Mr. Sunday Imona. Mr. Sunday, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Sunday Imona is a writer, political analyst, social critics, and of course, a presenter on Metro FM. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right, you're welcome once again, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, today we are looking at the EDO Politics and all of the beautiful things happening and not so beautiful things happening in the EDO Politics. Of course, I believe that there are lessons to learn from all of the things happening. Let me start with you, Mr. Obina. You know, recently there's so much happening in Edo State and a whole lot of them are not so good. Let's look at the role of Mr. Adams Oshiomhole in all of this. All right, so what do you think about the role of Mr. Adams Oshiomhole? Do you think he's taking too much or is pushing too much at what is happening in Edo State?
Okay, on this program, I think you people want the truth.
Yeah, of course.
So I will stick with the truth. So in Edo Politics, I think Comrade Adams Oshiomhole is actually, like you rightly said, pushing too much. So the Bible said that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, because I'm a Christian.
Okay.
So I think no one owns
the earth
or the government.
Okay.
The government should be for the people. So, and I think Adams Oshiomhole has done very well in political arena, especially in Nigeria and the Edo State, and now is kind of trying to monopolize the power, and I think it's going wrong.
It's going wrong. The way it's going about it, you think it's totally wrong.
Yeah,
amazing. Okay,
let's
look at what you think about this. I understand that when Adams Oshiomhole came into power, one of the things that he said then was that he has successfully destroyed the issue of godfatherism.
So he said.
So he said.
Credited.
Yes. Okay. Said. Yeah. All right. So now he's still the same person who is now trying to institutionalize that same thing that he fought against, the godfatherism, because that's what you can, I personally see him to be. He's trying to play the role of a godfather who wants to decide everything. What do you think about this?
Well, in politics, there are a lot of perspectives.
Okay.
Different people see from their own unique perspective. Adams Oshiomhole has not at any point described himself as a godfather.
Okay.
You know, he sees himself as a party leader, coordinator, someone who should bring out the whip and put people back on track according to his own perspective. And what he's doing right now, although it has turned into a father-son type of thing because of the history. Adams Oshiomhole and Pastor Ize Iyamu worked together for years. Ize Iyamu virtually ran his campaign that brought him back for his second term.
Yeah.
So everyone, you know, was shocked when he didn't pick Ize Iyamu and picked Godwin Obaseki for governorship. And that was why Ize Iyamu went to PDP and Godwin was with APC. At the time, they went at it and Godwin came up tops. Now, Godwin, one thing he did that actually started this current event, series of events, was the fact that he banned they call them party sponsors,
Okay.
from coming to the governor's house, state house. And, because he made a statement, said the state's money or the state's fund is for projects, not for party members to share.
So
now,
indirectly,
he didn't say he didn't direct it to the people.
Okay.
He restricted from coming to the state house, but he just made a statement. Now, Oshiomhole took that up and said that was ungrateful, that he used these people to finance his campaign to bring him to power. And then other allegations, coming up, which actually created a rift
between Oshiomhole
that
and
led
Adams
to
Oshiomhole.
what's happening right now. So in the mind of Adam, looking at everything he has been saying, he believes he's trying to play the role of the coordinator.
To set things right.
To set things right in his mind.
But what really is godfatherism?
Well, godfatherism is more or less creating proxies. Creating proxies that you can walk through. For instance, I may not be in the room, but I have someone in the room that is doing everything I want to happen in that room. The person wouldn't even have a mind of his own or her own without consulting me first. It has to be what I want, my agenda.
But don't you think that, okay, let me throw that to Mr. Jan. Don't you think that what Mr. Sunday is raising, the point he's raising, is one of the problems that we have in African politics, where somebody somewhere wants to control everything that is happening, wants people to do his bidding. Sometimes even they want to force a sitting governor or somebody in position who is put in there by the people to succumb to their own needs and whatever it is that they want. Don't you think this is the problem of African politics right now?
I think it's a problem, like you said. And for Adams Oshiomhole, I think he's struggling to settle scores, political scores, because being the SY chairman of APC party and being a chieftain in the party, he wouldn't like to be someone that's caricatured or ridiculed in his own state. And recall that Adams Oshiomhole has some kind of shake-up in the party, and that led to his dismissal. And Adams Oshiomhole would like to show his power, like he wants to wield power and show that actually I'm powerful. So that's what he's struggling to do. So, like my friend said, he's not into so much godfatherism per se, but he's now using that kind of tool now to achieve his political target.
Okay, now let's look at it from this angle. It's quite obvious that in the politics of Africa, especially in Nigeria, we cannot necessarily eradicate godfatherism in some way, because it's there, even though they don't come out straight to say I am a political godfather, but their actions speaks volume, right? So I'm thinking now, these are people who portray themselves as people who so much care about the populace, about the people that they govern. Shouldn't they, as a people, be more interested in what the people want than what they want? Because obviously, some of them are using those people against the populace.
Well, your question seems to be pointing to the age-long method of dominance.
Okay.
Break them up, keep them confused, the divide and rule syndrome. True, the elders, because there's a very thin line between godfatherism and political mentors.
Okay.
Everywhere in the world, you have political mentors. Everyone's got that one person they go back to ask questions, to report themselves to ask for help. Oh, I'm in trouble. I don't know how to tackle this. What can I do? And then they get some quality, counsel from someone who has been there or someone with, a broader perspective. It happens everywhere in the world. But there's a thin line between that and godfatherism. When dictatorship comes into the picture, that person who is supposed to be the godfather, the political mentor, begins to make demands and insist, not just making the demands. So there's a very thin line between the mentor, political mentor, and the godfather, because the mentor remains a mentor provided he or she only counsels and allows the person in office to carry out their own decisions, to make up their own minds. But as soon as that person, that mentor, begin to make demands, and not just making demands, but insist that these demands must be met, and then they go about it in a certain way. Remember what happened with Adiosun?
Okay.
All right. A lot of people thought that was random. It wasn't. It's in the papers. I don't really want to go deeper, but someone who brought her in was actually responsible for some of the things that happened to her. So sometimes they have something that you may not even know would raise eyebrows. And then they tell you, oh, if you don't do this, I do this. And then you're under pressure. And then you have to start bending. It's beginning to tilt from mentorship to godfatherism. Now in Africa, why godfatherism has become something that is prevalent is because we lifted our cultural monarchy system and just merged it with everything that we inherited from the West. We lifted part of our traditions and put it in our religion. Whether you're Christian, Muslim, or any other religion, we still practice some part of our culture within the religion. We just lifted everything in. Sorry, I don't want to deviate. Very quickly, the Supreme Court has now, made it legal for women to inherit properties. But a lot of people are shocked and surprised, not our culture. But a lot of people saying they are shocked and surprised, not our culture, are Christians. And in the Bible, women inherited properties. Remember Moses and the ladies.
Okay.
Now, but let's get back. So I'm just trying to use that to illustrate how we bring in our culture. So the same thing with politics. We took our culture of the monarchy and brought it into politics. So a lot of the politicians behave like traditional rulers. You don't question them.
They are like lords.
They are lords. They're like lords. And then when they get into office, they don't want to leave. If they're leaving, they want to put somebody there
who will also protect and continue what they believe in.
And continue. So that's how we seem to be molding our own democracy, which is not right because the people suffer. If the people were not suffering the effect, then probably maybe we would have accepted it as our own type of democracy.
Hold that thought there. Now, you said a whole lot of beautiful things, and I want to pick it up from where you stopped about the people being the ones suffering from the effect of this whole political godfatherism. And I'm thinking, Mr. Ijanya, do the people have the power to stop this? Because they're the ones suffering. Do they have enough power to rise up in one voice and put a stop to this godfatherism? Is it possible?
It's just kind of pathetic in Africa, what we see in African kind of politics, because we say we're practicing democracy. Democracy is a kind of government that emanated from Rome.
Okay.
Yeah, where it's a kind of demo, which is people, like things about the people. It's all about the people. But in Africa, it's all about the politician. So the people are suffering because the politician, like my friend said, are the lords. So what happened in the era of barbarism in Europe is what's happening in Africa now. So the lords own everything and the demos are suffering. So I think we're not yet practicing democracy. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now looking at this so far from the question I earlier asked about the people being if it's possible for people to put a stop to this. Now I'm thinking Governor Obaseki is in the news, in the media, again, running for another term. And of course, Adams Oshiomhole is strongly against him. Now I'm thinking, would you say as somebody who is not a political, doesn't have any kind of political interest, per se. How would you rate the performance of Obaseki? And let's suppose his performance for that 4 years was good. Shouldn't the people give him the support against whatsoever godfatherism figure?
Okay, well, we're dealing with mindsets.
Okay.
Mind constructs and persuasion, which still has to do with mind. I can only, as an individual, trying to be as unbiased as I can, rate Obaseki only by measuring him with his predecessors.
Which was Adams Oshiomhole.
Yes, and others.
Okay.
Adams Oshiomhole with Lucky and
Lucky
so on.
Medium, yeah.
And we know that Adams Oshiomhole, Lucky made Adams Oshiomhole look like a
hero.
messiah. You know, because what Edo was from the time of Lucky, it was obvious. You know, so that was the reason Oshiomhole could easily win a second term. One of the reasons anyway. You know, because in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is the king. I'm not saying that's the Edo people. I have to clarify that. I'm just saying, in comparison, if someone didn't do anything at all, the person who planted one tree would look like a hero, even if the community actually needed 100 trees. So, measuring Obaseki, a lot of people, looking at what people have said, they don't criticize him completely. Most of the criticisms that you find in threads, because that's one of the easiest places to check out people's opinion, threads, in any posts, in any news post online, you find people still showing some support, then some criticize. Then from his opponents right now, the criticisms coming is mostly political. And which is the same thing going back to them. So we know how our politicians campaign. It's about trying to make each other look incompetent to win. And so the people are asking for issue-based campaign. Tell us what you are going to do better. Tell us what you have in mind to do for us. Tell us how you're going to do it. So if Obaseki has done well for the Edo people, then, well, it's left to them. It's left to them. It's not automatic. They can still say, fine, you did well, we don't want you.
Interesting.
That's why it's democracy. Because the people decide. They might say, okay, fine, we've seen you. You did well, but
so let's try somebody new.
Let's try somebody else.
But even at
it's
that,
not automatic.
Even at that, the somebody new is not really new. I was coming to that later, though.
Okay.
So you might just want to hold that thought. As I want to address something you also mentioned about the fact that politics in Nigeria, most times the opponents, oftentimes they want to use certain kind of attacks to make you look bad.
Well, there was a case in court to freeze the state accounts.
Okay.
Recently, you know, I mean, if you freeze the state accounts, how is the governor going to do his duties, perform his role? At least until the election in September. So the court threw the case out and said, no, this was, come on.
Wow.
Put together to destabilize the government. I mean, and if the government is destabilized, the state will be in chaos. So just going by what you said, they do everything to make sure they take the wheels out of each other's cars, emotion, to win the race. So yes, we see that happens all the time.
Wow.
And we only hope that the people will not stand by and just watch and eventually say to themselves, that's why I started with mindset. The people we're hoping would not say to themselves, this is how we've been doing it, let's just do it this way. Instead, I'm hoping that the people will sit down, check the scorecard and say, okay, we've done it to this point, let's move to the next level, which could be a Pastor Ize Iyamu or a Godwin Obaseki. Just objective decision making, not based on sentiment or based on this is how we're doing it. Status quo.
Wow, interesting. Let me take you up, Mr. Ejanya. All right, so our guest, Mr. Sunday, raised something really interesting about the fact that in Nigerian politics, you find the opponents want to use certain words to make you look bad. Now, there was a statement credited to Adams Oshiomhole rather, that he said the reason he didn't use Pastor Ize Iyamu in his own tenure was because he was a thief and very unreliable, not somebody that the people can trust. And now he's coming back to sell that same person back to the people. What do you think about this?
Well, it's all the drama in Nigerian politics that are dirty dramas, I would say, and deadly ones. So, but the people I blame are the people themselves.
Okay.
So Nigerians.
That's the masses.
The masses. I blame the masses because you don't take everything that you are told. It should be reasonable and factual, you know. So obviously, Ize Iyamu has some kind of dodgy records, kind of things that are not good to write home about.
Are these things? Are these things public that people can access?
Yeah, people know about them.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that Obaseki is
A saint.
an angel or a saint.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that what Adams Oshiomhole was using against him then were facts. But now, because he has to say something, and the people, the gullible people, will still believe him. Like my friend said, that people work, you know, with emotion.
Yeah.
So the people don't, and of course, what the things that underpin the emotion is the cash that they receive. So people tend in Africa, people tend to sell their
conscience.
Their conscience. You know, they don't actually act based on facts or based on.
They're not objective.
Yeah, no objectives. So, and even though they're the one that's being squashed and you know, destroyed at the end of it, they don't care. So I think we're yet to learn.
So what does that make Adams Oshiomhole look like? For the same product you rejected, you're now bringing it back to the people. What does that really make him look like? Does it make him a person of integrity, somebody that the people can trust and follow?
Yeah, that makes him a smart person.
Smart, you say?
Yeah, because he knows that the people, it doesn't matter what I tell them, they will believe me. So he will kneel down and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I told you this, but now I'm telling you something else."
You know, talk about.
And then now in Nigeria, people are not held accountable.
Interesting.
People are not held accountable. They're not. You don't hold them accountable. You know? So they will just do things and know how to sort things out and get what they want. So the problem with Adams Oshiomhole, he would have gotten out with his ploys and all that. I'm not against him per se. I'm not a politician.
Okay.
So his issue, he would have still gotten his person into the government, but I think he has an upper hand problem.
What do you mean by upper hand problem, sir?
I don't think he's enjoying the support of the presidency.
Oh, wow. Okay. I get that.
It was good you clarified that.
Yeah.
Because one could have easily misunderstood it. So, really.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you seem to have an opinion on that?
No, I don't have any
opinion
quite
on that.
I quite
Agree with what he's
to a large
saying.
extent.
Okay.
But then you're also free to be against him.
Yeah.
It's part of your.
you're right.
You're right. You know, to choose a side.
Okay, I want to talk about something that you raised. You raised a point before we came on air that Ize Iyamu has something that can be seen as an advantage. The fact that he has experience.
Yeah, he's worked longer with Adams Oshiomhole than
Okay,
Godwin
but even
Obaseki.
before Adams Oshiomhole,
Yeah.
he also was in power with Igbinidium.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, he's been
politics
around.
for a while.
And I have problem with that, really. I have a little bit of problem with the recycle of people who had been in power, and you call that experience. And I'm wondering, experience at what? Leadership or just running a system of what they believe?
There are two things involved. If the person occupied a position where they could have done something and they didn't do it over the years, then they're guilty. They're just recycling themselves, and you can hold them responsible for being like a stick in the mud, not doing anything. But if they occupied positions where they couldn't have possibly done anything, they didn't have the power to do anything, but they've just been around power, then you really can't blame them. They might as well have been waiting for their own turn to come in and do the right thing
and make impact.
Yes, it has happened before.
Okay.
It will still happen again, and so in that, I haven't said that. You have to now classify everyone. What was Ize Iyamu's role in the Benedion's tenure, and what did he do for Oshiomhole? Usually these people don't have power to make the main decisions.
I understand.
They only support whatever they're given as an assignment to do, to support or to bring results, like he did for Oshiomhole in the second term.
Okay.
Again, the accusation comes up, oh, you supported this other person that we didn't like, why did you support him? Again, if he didn't support the person, he would have been out. So politics is such that you have allegiance to, initially it starts with allegiance to an ideal. Then it shifts to allegiance to the ideal because it's attached to a particular group of people, maybe a party. Then it evolves further from the political party to a higher ideal in the eyes of the person, which is your own agenda. Now, your agenda could still align with that of the party, or could align with another party, because with the party you gain grounds, and then you can't just come from nowhere and cross carpet to a party that does not even know you. They have to know you from somewhere, so they got to know you from your previous party, and you're crossing over. You have an idea you're going to sell to them. You're not just going to take their own ideals. Our political parties in Nigeria seem to have very flexible ideals. That's why they cross carpets, very easily. So now, from that point, the person goes further and begin to pursue their own goals, which they tell us it's for everybody. All right, so okay, we believe them, and sometimes they succeed, sometimes they fail. It still boils down to the people. It boils down. You asked the question earlier on, can the people stop godfatherism where it exists? Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
How?
The people have power that they don't yet realize they have.
Is it that they don't realize they have, or they have been subjected?
Again, it's a mind thing. I think I'll just keep going back to the mind thing. One of the biggest problems a typical Nigerian will have in politics is mindset. I can tell you straight off the bat that I really don't want to go into religion, but I would say that the North, let me use region, they are more serious about politics than
every other person.
Not really every other person, than most of the South, Southeast, Southwest. When I say serious, what do I mean? They vote. They will take the wheelbarrow and go carry all the crippled and disabled people to come and vote. They even carry I don't want to go too far, but you get the picture. They vote. They take it very serious.
But what is the use of the seriousness if they're still going to vote people who are going to keep them in penury?
Well,
because that's been if the people have the power to stop things and they are using it to still create more problem for themselves, what is the use of it?
Fine, it's a summary. First of all, they know they can exercise their power. They are exercising it. You hardly hear, I'm not going to vote, boycott in the North.
Okay.
It doesn't really happen. They will vote.
Interesting.
But down here, people easily just say, I'm not going to vote. I'm angry. I'm not going to vote, and they won't vote. The last election, we had 6 million PVCs given out. 6 million people in Lagos had PVCs. Estimated population of 22 million people. Okay, 6 million people had PVCs. Election came and went. Only 1.1 million people voted. What happened to 4.9 people? 4.9 million people, what happened to them? We knew the places that had crisis, somewhere in Okota here, and one place in Sulere, then one other. There was no problem anywhere, like the kind of problem we expected. The only major complaints that seemed to have been, more pronounced were, inadequate materials in some places. But then 4.9 million people didn't vote. Many people stayed back home, and I was one of the people who monitored the election. And I can tell you that it was still our parents that went out to vote.
So the youths didn't vote.
Our parents are doers. A lot of the youths are just whiners. They go on Instagram and Twitter and rant and complain. Yes, social media has its own victories. You will win a lot of victories via social media, which will bring about real change. But for a lot of the things that we want to change, we could start from social media. But eventually, someone has to go with a piece of paper to lay a formal complaint. And then people are still circulating the idea that your votes don't count. I don't know where that came from, but I understand how it came to be. I totally get it. But I still say, how will people try to buy what is worthless? Why would they try to snatch the ballots if the vote is useless? Why would they try to convince you to vote if it's really useless? Why are they giving you money if it's useless? It's not useless. It counts. But the idea that it doesn't count, don't bother to vote, is the weapon that has been working on this part of the country.
Wow.
For a long time.
You want to hold that thought right there. So much has been said so far. I want us to quickly go and take a short break. When we return from this break, we are going to be looking at this discourse from another perspective, looking at some other interesting thing right here. Stay with us. You are still live on 9 News Nigeria TV, and this is Truth Behind the News. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. You're still live right here on Truth Behind the News, right here on 9 News Nigeria TV. AMACHREE Ikijana is my name, and we have been talking about what's happening in Edo State. Okay, my two handsome guests, I almost say beautiful, they are still right here with us, and together we're doing justice to all of these things happening. Let's go back into the discourse, Mr. Ijayan. Something interesting I want to look at is the fact that these politicians are becoming desperate by the day. You know, you have a scene where Adams Oshiomhole had to kneel down, okay, to plead with the monarchs in Edo State, you know, to get this person back in power. And there was also a video I saw of Mr. Ize Iyamu in the mosque, okay, robed in a turban and being prayed for by, this is a pastor actually. So are these people really getting desperate to get power? And if you get power through desperation, does that seem that people who actually want to go serve? What do you think about all of that? Okay,
naturally, politicians are just artful dodgers. They are just clever manipulators by nature. And there has been that all over the world. I have no issue with that. You can play, because when you say you're a pastor and you join politics, that's the day you decide to be a chameleon.
Wow.
So, but that's the game. So it's a game anyway. So, my problem with them is doing it. I always reason within myself that the politicians of Africa, especially Nigeria, are the failures of people that I have seen in Nigeria and Africa. Yeah, they failed in many capacities as I would say, professional people, okay, being politicians. You will know in different parts of the world that you have Nigerians, they have excelled in their capacity in whatever they are doing. You see Nigerian surgeons, you know, making names for the country. You see Nigerian, whatever, musicians, you know, being at the world stage, you know, making names. You see Nigerian footballers, whatever, you know, walks of life you can talk of. Nigerians have excelled and made name for the country.
Except
but
in politics.
The politicians are a failure. They should be ashamed of themselves. The politicians of Nigeria, especially because Nigeria is the center of Africa, is the greatest country, biggest, largest, whatever it is in the black world. So the politicians are a failure. So doing all those things, manipulating to get to the power for what? Get to the power to do what? Get to the power to mess up, carry the money. How can you take your money that you use for your people, and take it to another man's country?
To develop.
It means you are a failure. You are a failure. If you Nigerians will go out there and make name in different kind of profession you may name it. And you, as a politician, don't you know that the politician in USA, in Switzerland, in Singapore, in Australia, wherever you name them, are your counterparts. They are your counterparts. You are trading with them. You should try to outsmart them, not them outsmarting you.
Or at least be at par with them.
Yeah. So whatever they are doing in their countries to make the country better is what you should try to do more. And because of that, the politicians in Africa, in Nigeria especially, I always say that, are the ones that are gullible. They are a kind of people really cool. They are really cool kind of people.
You know, you said something about being successful and making reference to politicians in different parts of the world. I tend to think that these are people who are they are in politics to serve. They are concerned about the welfare of their people.
Yes.
But don't you think that this is the difference between the politicians we have out there and the ones we have here? Because I think it's a matter of interest here in Nigeria especially. Do you share that?
Politicians in Nigeria, Africa, and in Nigeria, always use Nigeria as the central focal point. The politicians in Nigeria, they are the only people of African descent that are failures.
We have, in fact, the whole of African continent, especially West Africa, they are not really doing well in terms of politics. Okay.
What is your parameters of?
I mean, his parameter was. I take his parameter. Okay, his parameter was in terms of development.
In terms of development, and caring for your people.
And caring for your people.
That's why it's called democracy.
I mean, it's common in Africa that people sit tight in power. And when you look at what they have done over the years, you can't find anything that warrant them, that require them to still keep to power doing nothing. So I think that this is not peculiar to Nigeria. Just that Nigeria being the giant is pronounced. What do you think?
Okay, on politicians in general, I wouldn't group all of them as the same.
Okay.
Yeah. We have some who are professionals before they became politicians, and they continue to show their professionalism in politics as much as they can. Excuse me.
Sorry,
you have,
okay. I wanted to know, because you say they are showing professionalism in politics. What does that really mean? Is it by, okay, you are still relevant in politics? Is that what the professionalism means? Or your influence on the lives of people positively? Is that how you're judging? I like to know.
Okay, recently, because I really don't want to, there's some elections going on, so I don't want to really jump on any political party and say this one did this against that one and all that, because I want to leave people watching this to make up their minds on their own. But I read and followed the case of a few of them, senators, councillors. Even my own councillor came to my aid. I had issue of noise pollution with a bank, and the bank wasn't even taking us serious. Noise pollution, air pollution, toxic fumes.
Okay.
And I had to turn to my councillor, who took it up and gave us results.
Wow, that's commendable.
All right, and then there's another senator who sent sent a transformer to his own constituency after they complained to him that they don't have a transformer, or the former one was bad. So he made arrangements for a transformer, and excuse me. Getting dry. So on delivery, some boys had cornered the people who would install it, asking for money. So he told the technicians to take the transformer to another neighborhood that would appreciate it. That one passed. But later on, he got another transformer and personally supervised physically the installation. He didn't stop. He probably made a point. Now, I'm not saying he's a good man, he's an angel. No, but there are people doing things.
Interesting.
There are people doing things. And but you know, our brains, the experts will tell you, our brains are wired to remember the negative more. It's a defensive mechanism. It's reminding you of what to run away from, what to be afraid of, what to avoid, reminding you what is danger to you and dangerous that will harm you so you can avoid it. So it's a defensive mechanism. So our brains are built that way. That's why bad news seems to float around a lot longer. So the bad eggs in politics definitely will reign
More
and be
than the
more
good
prominent
ones.
than the ones who are doing anything else apart from being bad. So
Interesting.
we have a mix out there. And then when you're close to some politicians and they open up to you, you become weak because you suddenly see the dilemma. You suddenly see that this person is actually just trying to stay in office long enough to do some things for his people and not get thrown out because the others feel threatened. So you have that struggle going on. There's a struggle of conscience, there's a struggle of position, there's a struggle, not to be seen the wrong way by your colleagues who can actually do the PhD on you, the pull him down thing. So for a lot of politicians, they have their own struggle. And that is because the people too that should speak up when it's time to speak up may not speak up for whatever reasons. So in as much as we say, oh, bad governance or bad leadership, it's not one side. It's yin yang. It's bad leadership, bad followership.
That's a good one.
Then now looking at the contrast, politicians around the world and politicians in Africa, again, we brought in our culture into politics. That's why they don't want to leave office. Kings don't leave till they die. Chiefs don't give away their titles till they die.
Kingship is an inheritance,
though. We brought that same culture into politics. And we're trying to remodel it. And everybody have their own group of thugs they're using to get their things done. Just like a king will have his own small army that works for him. So it's the people that still have the power, but the mindset has to change.
Wrong.
I have been part of a lot of movements against powerful individuals and organizations, and we won. It starts with one person. When the number plate issue came up in Nigeria, it was one man that took them to court and won. One man. Saved everybody. So we can win battles, but we're not used to fighting. At least we're not used to fighting for long. We're only used to tolerating, accommodating, and adapting to everything that happens. And it has to change. Our mindset needs to change. And when it changes, we will know because more people will want to vote.
Wow.
More people would want to follow political processes instead of just complain.
I'd like you to hold that thought as we go back to Mr. Ikiijana. There's actually a pressing issue I want us to look into before we wrap up this. But before we go into that issue, I'd like you to look at this because I remember clearly in our last edition of the show, you mentioned that one of the problems with politics in Africa is that there is no clear ideologies. Now we have in Edo State, which we are looking into now, the Obaseki just cross-carpeted from the APC to PDP. Now, I was sharing with you before the show the fact that this is like a playback of what happened years back, where you have Ize Iyamu contesting on the platform of the PDP against Obaseki on the platform of APC. And now you have the reverse, where the Obaseki is on PDP, Ize Iyamu is on PDP platform. Now, I'm wondering, how can somebody just wake up and cross to one party within a flash like that? Because if we had to go by ideologies are not just formed by a snap of the finger. So is this a testimony to what you have been preaching, that there are no clear ideologies, and how can we correct these things?
Yeah, that is the major problem in Nigerian politics and the people that are being governed. So the politicians have not really embraced the idea of democracy. The idea of democracy is, bringing out ideas that would better the lives of the people and make your people great. Make your people great. Because the more your people are being, reduced to nothing, the irony of it is that the leader becomes ridiculed too. I've been in many countries of the world, and I know that even sometimes I've been called that someone that's a senator being held by the immigration of some countries, and they're receiving all these kind of ill treatments because of where they're coming from. So they don't have a second thought that I should make my country great, and then I'll become great. When you make yourself great and your people are still
ridiculed.
Yeah, they are ridiculed.
They will rub off on you.
Yeah, you face the same ridicule. So this is what I'm preaching, that Africa should wake up. So it all boils down to the problem of not having a kind of psychology, a philosophy, I would say, a philosophy that guides whatever, that carefully, intentionally guide whatever we do, because this is what the West that we're learning from do. They have a kind of ideology that is guiding whatever they are doing. That is why one person becomes the president today or prime minister. In the next 5 or 8 years, another person climbs the seat and still continues with what they are doing because they have one agenda. So in Africa, in Nigeria, they don't have a defined ideology. What they have is a personal interest. And that personal interest transcends from a powerful person to his godchildren, the people he purported into power, his puppets. So he rides on them and still perpetrate his evil act of downtroddening the people. So the people keep suffering, and there's an underdevelopment, or I don't know how to use the word, because it's not underdevelopment, it's just lack of development.
At all. Absence of development whatsoever. Okay, let's go on another break right now. When we come back from this break, we're going to be looking at 2023, okay, because there's so much happening, and you know how politics in Nigeria is. There are body language to what's going to be happening in 2023. And so when we come back from this break, we'll look at that. Peculiar to that discussion will be IGBO Presidency. Stay with us. We are going to be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining in, you are live on 9 News Nigeria TV. This is Truth Behind the News. Of course, my name is AMACHREE IKIJANA. That sounds really deep. Okay, we've been talking EDO politics, and we've actually delved deep into what is happening in Edo State. Right now, we want to look at 2023, okay, because so much is happening right now already in Nigeria. As regards 2023, and I'm going to be talking about that. Recently, I saw the poster of Mr. Bola Tinubu, okay, the former governor of Lagos State, and of course, the kingmaker in Nigeria. Okay. And there is also the angle of the IGBO presidency. A lot of people are agitating for IGBO presidency in 2023, as that might be a way to calm the Igbos down with the Biafra agitation. So we're going to be looking at this. Let's pick it up from you, Mr. Sunday. Don't you feel concerned that we're in 2021 and posters are already flying all over the place against 2023? We are in 2020. Imagine that. I'm already running ahead. Okay, so we are already in 2020, and posters are already flying all over the place against 2023.
I'm not bothered, even though it's awkward and it's very strange indeed that we're having posters as early as now for something that will happen in 3 years' time. I'm more bothered that I haven't seen anybody else. The people that would come up and say, okay, we are the saviors, we want to go against these people. We haven't seen anybody saying anything yet. We're still seeing the same people, the same big names. And it tells us a lot that the other people, 2015 was an eye-opener for all of us.
Okay.
Because it was the year we saw a lot of independent candidates, and we were tested because the same people who prayed, oh, we want independent candidates, were the same people who came together and used their own opinions to bring them down. So I'm not bothered that I haven't seen anybody else apart from the popular names at least telling us, I intend to do this in 3 years' time. Watch me.
No, I think that, like you say, 2015, what happened in 2015 would have been one of the reasons why some people felt like they don't need to waste their time anymore.
If you're going to try just once and give up, why try in the first place? If you're going to go against, against a system that has been on for a while, you definitely know you have to try several times. Not even several. Severally means few times.
Okay.
Several times. Like you need to go at it over and over. Pick yourself up and go at it again. All the great stories we tell. Abraham Lincoln contested how many times? Okay, they say, oh, that's America. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe really.
We pick other things. We say, but when it is time to make similar reference using the same parameters, maybe America, maybe Europe, and say, this is how you should vote, this is how you should fight, this is how to get things done, you hear excuses. So it's like we want the benefits. We don't want the work. We don't want to do anything to get it.
But don't you think that politics in Nigeria especially is very expensive? So an American politician can afford to try several times.
But politics is expensive everywhere.
But not as much as it is. We literally play money politics in Nigeria.
Donald Trump spent $1 million every day on Facebook alone during his campaign.
Okay.
Every day. We're not talking about other areas.
Wait, $1 million?
Yes, $1 million.
Wow.
He was working with Cambridge Analytica. He was working with Facebook. They had a special campaign, operation going on. Forgotten the name now. When it comes, I'll probably mention it. But it's on record. It's public information. It's not one hidden thing. You check it out, you see it. They were spending that much on Facebook adverts alone. Every day.
Wow.
And they spent, that's why they do this, they do their fundraisers, political fundraisers. They do that a lot to raise funds for their campaigns and all that. And there's a way you go about that. There's a legal way to go about that. There are limits and all that. But then they do that and they spend. So it's expensive everywhere. You need sponsors. You need organizations that will support you. You need people that would support you.
Are these things readily available and accessible?
In Nigeria, yes. Some people get it by striking deals. Some will say strike a deal with the devil. Someone who wants power but knows if he shows his face, he won't get it. Sees a young chap or even lady promising, oh, people like this person. Oh, yeah, come, I give you money. I get you there, but you must do these things for me. Godfather isn't born.
Ultimately.
But then you can also still get there. You can still get there on your own. It's just strategy and more work.
Wow. Okay.
But how many people want to do the work?
Let's hold it there. Let's look at the IGBO presidency agitation for 2023. So far, like he has raised an issue that what we've seen so far is the same people being recycled, the same popular names that are coming out. Now, one question in my mind is, it's normal. The younger generation don't seem to stand a chance to even, against these people. But let's leave that aside. I'm particularly concerned about the agitation for IGBO presidency. Is there a need for this? Or is this just a ploy to try to calm the Nnamdi Kanus of the world down?
I see it from this perspective. IGBO presidency is, I would personally say, is apt, but then it's a ploy, like you rightly said, by the people that have been holding the power for a very long time. to, the reason that since the country is almost integrated,
Okay.
so the major people that are playing the role of kind of carrying their mats home are the Igbos, which you must take notice of Amotekwu right now,
Yeah.
and the Oduduwa Republic springing up. So, if they're gonna lose the Igbos and lose Yorubas, it's gonna be, a kind of lose-lose game.
Okay.
So I think it's a step for me in the right direction, proposing to give the presidency to an Igbo person, but I'm not seeing it happening.
Why so?
Yeah, because as I don't know if you introduced that, but you know that Tinubu is in the field of play.
Okay.
So, and this is a big wig in Nigerian politics, and even though there are powers that are actually against his ambition that will actually weigh him down, but that will also impact on the possibility of, getting an Igbo president.
Okay. I like to look at it this way. Do you if I put it to you, who do you foresee could do well as an Igbo president? Do you have anybody that in mind?
For now, I don't have anybody in mind
okay.
that could do well in Igbo presidency, but you can't overrule the fact that the Northerners must, project someone that
they can control.
They can control. So I'm looking at Osagie Ize Iyamu to be the right candidate. Being that
You think they can control him?
no, they may not control him 100%, but Osagie Ize Iyamu is someone that can play the game.
But then they still have a lot of things on him.
So it's better for that is the most I would say most
likely person that
most
they will...
likely and most fitting person that they could choose, because being that he's been a partner with Babangida, he's been in the corridor of power in power play for a very long time, so he could be trusted to an extent other than any other Igbo person, I think, being that I'm blunt in whatever I say. So Osagie Ize Iyamu could play that role very well, how to say, he will please the Northerners and at the detriment of Igbos.
No.
Okay.
Is that not a problem? No.
Let's
look at it. No, I like for you to have a contribution, but before you say what's in your mind, I'm thinking is when people are agitating, the Igbos are agitating for Igbo presidency, this is supposed to be for the benefit of the Igbos. Now he is citing a likely example, a likely person that could be used, okay, for this cause, and it doesn't seem like this will be in the interest of the people. Where does that leave the Igbos?
Okay, I want to take it from the top.
Okay.
I'll answer the question.
Okay.
No problem. First of all, we practice democracy in Nigeria. We've always practiced democracy to the extent that we can, interpret it, to the best of our abilities. We've not been very good at fully interpreting democracy or the democratic processes.
Okay.
But that's what we've been practicing. There's never been a time where zoning was done for presidency. We only insinuate it that, they gave it to themselves. Is this one's turn? We're just the one playing the game.
I think party-wise, it's done sometimes in the party.
Within the region, within parties,
Yeah.
yes, it's done. But at the presidential level, no, it has not been done before. Never in the history of Nigeria.
Okay.
So first of all, we need to understand that this push is something that's never succeeded before. Different regions have tried it, it never worked. Because people are saying no. The people who got there worked for it. When I say worked for it, I'm not saying deserve.
Okay.
Two different things.
Yeah.
Nigerian politics is not the politics you can play by trying to keep to your own people alone and you win. you have to learn how to make friends in politics. You have two things. You have to learn how to make friends in politics and form allegiances. I think Southwest they do that a lot. They can strike deal with almost anybody. But then, you see, the Southeast, so far, they've had very stellar people who have occupied positions. During the time of Jonathan, positions, you know, they had like 6 prominent people controlling so many things, you know, and then other times too. But these people, questions have come from the IGBO community about these people. Some, Diziani, who is nowhere on the run, in a way, you know, but serving in another political capacity in another country, which makes her immune to any kind of extradition, at least until that president is out, the president that gave her that power. Then back to square one. So there have been questions, not just her, there have been other people that have been questioned. When you were there, what did you do for our region? How many friends did you make on our behalf? Did you try to strike any deal so we can have anybody come out to represent us? It almost seems as if everybody from the Southeast wants to be the president. Even when Kingsley Moghalu, no, not Kingsley, when Peter Obi was picked by Atiku, it was an issue. It was an issue. And people saw a lot of people saw Peter Obi as a man with a lot of pedigree, a lot of, feathers on his cap. But then a lot of people still had problems. Kingsley Moghalu tried, but people didn't, didn't really support him as much. Showore got so much votes above all of them. So at the end of the day...
And when you say the people, are you referring to the Igbo people? Or generally?
Yeah, them. The majority of voters went the PDP APC way. It was obvious. They went the PDP APC way. That is what I'm saying, status quo. Let me use the word we. We're not ready to break out and say, okay, let's just try someone else. No. I'm not saying they should. I'm saying just be true to yourself. So the majority went the PDP APC way, then APGA. I'm talking about the Southeast now.
Yeah.
So what we had, okay, now we're seeing people coming out tentatively. We're hearing sniffing rumors here and there. Tinubu have not made any announcements.
Obviously.
But
there are flyers, posters of him.
People are doing stuff, mentioning his name, campaigning for him. Also from the north, we're hearing other names to verify this and that, but they've not made any formal announcement that they want to do anything. In fact, they've tried to debunk.
Which is always the style, though.
Yes, we know. So, but from the east, I've not even heard anybody pushing anybody forward.
And that should we be concerned about that at this moment?
We should be, because you can't. Because if you're given something, just take. You won't value it. And considering this thing has not even happened before in Nigerian history, they've not given and say, okay, it's your turn. We're just the ones assuming, oh, this is what they... No, they still worked for it. They still struck deals. They still formed alliances.
Interesting.
To get it done. So the Southeast need to... First of all, who is the person? Where is the person? Nobody. So even if others say, okay, you know what? Because of the civil war, because of some other things that happened, which was just two brothers fighting anyway, and was bad because people died. Okay, let's do this for you. Okay, where's the person? The homework, it still falls back to the home front. The homework has not been done.
But just like he said, Mr. Giant said that the candidate is most likely going to be picked, not necessarily the one that the people pushed for. And don't you see that also playing out? Because...
It's politics. If you're pushing anyone forward, the person knows that definitely you're coming into the scene. You're stepping into that center stage where you have to present yourself as a friend, not a foe. Okay. Because if you come out and you're bragging or trying to present yourself as a competition or someone who will get there and do so, you won't get there. It's politics. You have to come out and Make friends. That's the game. Make friends. You must make friends outside your zone. You must form alliances.
That's how you stand a chance.
That's how you stand a chance. That's how you come out. That's how you become stronger. Without these things, if you keep trying to stay in there with yourself, your people, you won't get there.
Wow. Okay, Mr. Ijanya, let's on a final note as we wrap this up. I like to look at Tinubu as somebody like you described as a force, and that could also be a threat to IGBO presidency, knowing that the kind of person he is. Do you believe that Tinubu stands a chance to become Nigeria's president at a time where a whole lot of young people are agitating for a new blood, for somebody not a recycled person who has been in power, and somebody like Tinubu has a whole lot of history in government? So do you think he still stand a chance to become Nigeria's president?
Okay, before I go that way, I want to add to what my friend Mr. Sunday said.
Okay.
Actually, if Igbos are given the opportunity to choose who would go for them, Igbo has the capacity, the capability, and the will force to take, say this person should go for us. But I'm saying that, like you rightly said, they wouldn't have that kind of luxury of actually choosing someone that is capable to do the job. So because of the situation of the politics of Nigeria, there are people that still notch grievances, sadly to say, against the Igbos, vis-a-vis the war that took place, the Biafran war that took place. And that is the problem. So they would handpick somebody, but whatever they handpick will still allow the Igbos. So
what's important is for them to give the presidency to the Igbos.
Yeah, for me personally, that would, quell the kind of the agitation that's going on now. So because there will be kind of a succor for the people. So, and coming to Tinubu, I do not see Tinubu becoming the president of Nigeria. Not that he's the worst person on earth or in the political arena of this season.
What if he picks an Igbo vice?
Yeah, even if he picks, the problem is not the Igbos.
The Igbos want presidency, not the vice.
Yeah,
no, you may have to go for the vice first.
The problem is not having Igbo vice president. The problem that Tinubu has is from the top, like I rightly said.
Okay.
You understand? It's from the top. You understand? Tinubu is seen as a political threat. Even though he wielded massive support that produced the current president, but that alone is also a threat. So the people that he worked with, just like his mentor, or I would say, I don't know whether to say mentor, Awolowo, or someone he sees as his hero, Awolowo. He tried so much and he even compromised in many ways, but he didn't get that ticket. He didn't get that opportunity to lead the country. So I think that may be the fate of Tinubu. Not that he's incompetent or he's a bad person, but the people, the powers that be, see him as a threat, and that would undo him.
Wow. On a final note, too, what do you think? Do you think Tinubu stands a chance or better candidate than every other president that we've seen so far? Quickly before we wrap up.
Well, we haven't seen all the candidates yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if he stands a chance or not yet.
Okay.
He is formidable, however, because he has formed very strong alliances within and outside party lines. That's how influential he is. There are people in other parties that respect him. So yes, he's formidable, however, and he has the right to contest. He's a Nigerian, he's qualified. But we haven't seen all the players yet. When we see all the players, then we can
put plans
together. Yeah, I agree with you.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sunday Imona. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you. And also to Mr. Ijanya. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you.
All
right, this is where we wrap up today's edition of Truth Behind the News. It's been an interesting discussion with these two amazing gentlemen on the show. I appreciate you guys for joining in. Please keep watching. From now, I want to say to you, it's bye from me to you. Till we see you again on another beautiful episode of Truth Behind the News. Keep watching 9 News Nigeria and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's 9 News Nigeria on YouTube, on Facebook, and other social media platform is 9 News Nigeria. Our website is www.9newsng.com. Do well to visit our website. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you.